Stop, right now. Feel that pressure in your chest. That voice that whispers, "You shouldn't," whenever you dare to dream big. You carry the unrealized dreams of someone who loves you more than anything, your mother. And this is killing your potential. Carl Jung discovered something devastating. Nothing has a stronger psychological influence on children than the unlived life of the parents. Your mother may be unconsciously sabotaging your freedom. What Jung discovered is that we carry our mother's unfulfilled expectations as if they were our own. This invisible loyalty blocks who we really are. It's not about rejecting her, but freeing yourself to live your own life. What I'm about to reveal now is only understood by those who feel that persistent restlessness, as if they were living a life that doesn't completely belong to them. If you seek a truth that few have the courage to face, join us on this journey of liberation. With one click, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's together deepen our knowledge. Back to our topic. Every mother carries a chest of unrealized dreams, aspirations that were sacrificed, talents that remained dormant, pains that were never fully processed. Jung discovered that these elements don't simply disappear when they are repressed. They seek expression through the next generation. This transfer occurs in the most intimate spaces between mother and child, in the prolonged silences after certain questions, in the smiles that light up when you follow a certain path, in the subtle tension that arises when you deviate from unspoken expectations. It's a silent language that programs your unconscious from your earliest moments. Think of the mother who abandoned a promising career to raise children. Without realizing it, she may convey a message: accomplish what I couldn't. Her child then carries an ambition that seems their own, but is actually a delegated mission. Or consider the mother who suffered an abusive relationship and never confronted that pain. Her daughter inexplicably finds herself attracted to problematic partners, trying unconsciously to resolve the mother's. This psychic inheritance creates an invisible prison around you. You feel its limits, but you can't see its walls. When we try to fulfill our mother's unlived dreams, we sacrifice our authenticity on the altar of family loyalty. Your true gifts remain buried, suffocated by a purpose that isn't genuinely yours. You move through life with a weight you don't understand, exhausted from carrying a burden that should never have been yours. The most insidious aspect of this phenomenon is how it disguises the prison as sacred duty. Your psyche interprets this invisible loyalty as love, creating profound confusion. You feel guilt when seeking your true essence, as if being fully alive were a form of betrayal. This existential guilt becomes a powerful brake, preventing you from reaching your true potential. Here is the liberating truth. Your mother didn't consciously choose to transfer this burden to you. She herself was shaped by similar forces, part of an ancestral lineage of postponed dreams and silenced pains that goes back for generations. This is not a process of accusation, but of illumination. We are bringing to the surface patterns that operate in the shadows of our psyche, removing the veil that hides the true nature of our deepest motivations. Jung discovered that the first step toward liberation is always awareness. When we recognize these hidden dynamics, we begin to distinguish between what is genuinely ours and what we carry on behalf of others. This clarity is the foundation of true transformation, not a rejection of our mother, but a redefinition of the relationship based on psychological truth and mutual compassion. How do you recognize if you're carrying the weight of your mother's unrealized dream? The answer lies in the patterns that repeat in your life, in those disturbing sensations that arise at crucial moments of choice. These signs are like watermarks in your psyche, invisible until you know exactly what to look for. Now, I will reveal the 4 most powerful indicators that Jung identified in his studies of this psychic phenomenon. The first sign is guilt that seems to arise from nowhere when you follow your true desires. It's that feeling of betrayal that accompanies your most authentic choices. Have you ever felt a weight in your chest when choosing a path different from what your mother imagined for you? That inner voice, whispering that you're being selfish for simply seeking your own happiness. This guilt is not random. It's the result of an invisible psychological contract. I will live what you couldn't live. Each time you try to free yourself from this non-verbal agreement, guilt emerges as a guardian, pulling you back to the role assigned to you before you could even speak. The second sign manifests as an overwhelming responsibility for your mother's emotional well-being. Do you feel it's your duty to compensate for the difficulties she faced? Is there an inner voice insisting that you must accomplish what she couldn't or save her from? Jung observed that many adults live as emotional saviors to them, postponing their own lives in an attempt to fill. This is an impossible task, a bottomless well that consumes your vital energy. And most tragically, the more you try to fill it, the deeper it becomes. This responsibility is not yours to carry, but it was placed on your shoulders long before you could understand the weight. The third sign is particularly insidious, a subconscious fear that your success might somehow hurt your mother. Have you caught yourself sabotaging opportunities at the last moment, diminishing your achievements, avoiding recognition that you legitimately deserved? This is the ghost of family loyalty in action. Jung discovered that many carry an unconscious belief that surpassing parents is a form of betrayal. So, remaining in the shadow, limiting your shine, becomes a distorted form of, if I don't go too far, she won't feel diminished. This silent pact with failure is one of the most powerful ways her unlived life has of limiting yours. The fourth sign reveals itself in your most intimate relationships. Observe carefully. Do you continue to attract partners or situations that recreate the same painful dynamics that your mother experienced? Do you repeat her relationship patterns, even when you consciously desire something different? Jung called this the compulsion to repeat, an unconscious attempt to resolve the unresolved past. It's as if your psyche was saying, if I can fix this situation now, I can heal my mother's wound. 1. The cruel paradox is that the more you try to resolve her past through your present, the more deeply you become entangled in the same painful patterns, perpetuating the cycle you're trying to break. Now we come to the crucial point: how to free yourself from this ancestral burden. Jung discovered that transformation begins with an act of courage, bringing to consciousness what operates in the shadows, naming what has never been named. The first step is recognition. Observing these patterns in your life, not as personal failures, but as a psychic inheritance that you received without consent. This clarity already initiates the process of dissolving the invisible chains. This awareness doesn't happen all at once. It's a gradual awakening, like when your eyes slowly adjust to darkness and begin to distinguish shapes that were previously invisible. You start to realize, this isn't my anxiety, it's her fear that I'm carrying. This isn't my dream, it's the ambition she abandoned. But recognition alone is not enough. Jung identified that we must allow ourselves a process of genuine mourning. Mourning for the mother you needed and perhaps didn't have. Mourning for her dreams that you carried as your own. Mourning for the part of your life that was lived in service to a mission that wasn't yours. This mourning is deep and multifaceted. It's crying for lost time. It's feeling the anger of having carried a burden that wasn't yours. It's confronting the emptiness that arises when you allow yourself to abandon an identity built on another person's needs. Jung observed that many resist this mourning, fearing it means betrayal. But paradoxically, it is only through this process of lamentation that true loyalty, based on authenticity, not unconscious fusion, can emerge. 1. The most powerful concept that Jung offered us for this liberation was what he called psychic differentiation. The ability to separate what is yours from what belongs to another. It's the process of untangling your identity from hers. This differentiation is like delicate archaeological work, excavating layers of your psyche, examining each emotional artifact and asking, is this genuinely mine, or was it implanted in me? Jung discovered that this process of psychic separation is essential for the development of authentic individuality. When you begin to discern what is yours from what belongs to your mother, you discover parts of yourself that were buried under others' expectations. Talents that were neglected because they didn't serve the unconscious mission. Desires that were silenced because they contradicted the delegated path. This act of differentiation is not a rejection, but a clarification of boundaries. With deep respect, you can say internally, "Mother, I honor you deeply. I recognize your journey and your pains. But I can no longer carry your unrealized dreams or heal your wounds through my. This pain is yours. This abandoned dream, this fear is you. And now, with love, I return them to you. Jung observed that many people fear this psychic separation will destroy the relation. In fact, the opposite happens. When you cease to be a receptacle for her projections and become a distinct individual, the possibility of an authentic relationship emerges, one based on truth, not on invisible loyalties and unconscious missions. Jung understood the transformative power of conscious rituals. They speak directly to the unconscious in a language that transcends words. To solidify this liberation, consider creating a meaningful ritual. Rituals have been used in all cultures to mark important psychological transitions. They create a bridge between the internal and external world, between the conscious and unconscious. Jung documented how symbolic acts can catalyze profound changes that mere intellectual reflections cannot achieve. Write a letter to your mother, one that you may never deliver. In it, express with total honesty what you perceived, what you carried, what you felt. Don't censor your truth. Allow all emotions, love, gratitude, anger, hurt, guilt, to flow through the words. Thank her for what you received. Acknowledge her sacrifice. And then, with clarity and compassion, declare your intention to return what is not yours to carry. As you write, you may feel resistance, an inner voice insisting that you're being unfair or ungrateful. Jung observed that this resistance is expected. It's the family system fighting to maintain the known equilibrium, even if it's dysfunctional. Persist through this resistance. Afterward, in a symbolic act of transmutation, burn this letter in a safe place, observing the words transform into ashes and smoke, released back to the universe. This is not an act of destruction, but of alchemical transformation, converting weight into liberation. If this path of psychological liberation resonates with your deepest journey, don't travel alone. Subscribe to the channel now to receive more insights that can illuminate the dark corners of your psyche and transform your relationship with yourself and others. Or consider planting a seed or young tree, symbolizing the birth of your authentic life, rooted in fertile soil and growing toward your own light, no longer in the shadow of others' expectations. This act of creation balances the act of release, representing the new space that opens when you abandon what is. When you begin to abandon the weight of your mother's unlived life, something extraordinary happens. It's as if an invisible dam breaks, releasing vital energy that was always there, just blocked, redirected. Jung observed that an immense amount of psychic energy is consumed in maintaining these unconscious patterns, energy that could be available for your creativity, your relationships, your authentic purpose. When you free yourself from this burden, this energy returns, often with surprising intensity. Your true talents, those that are genuinely yours, begin to emerge. You may discover abilities or interests that were completely obscured by internalized expectations. Decisions become clearer, no longer obscured by the fog of unconscious family loyalty. You begin to feel an internal congruence, that rare and precious sensation that your external actions are aligned with your inner being. The guilt that previously arose when you followed your own path begins to dissipate. In its place emerges a sense of integrity, of finally being at home within yourself. Relationships transform. When you are no longer projecting maternal patterns onto your partners, friends, or colleagues, you become capable of seeing them as they truly are. The compulsion to repeat the same painful patterns diminishes. You begin to attract relationships that reflect your emerging health, not your inherited wounds. Jung observed that this is the true psychological birth, when you cease to be merely a vehicle for others' dreams and fears and become the author of your own life. You stop existing as an echo and begin living as an original voice, contributing your unique melody to the symphony of existence. This is not just a personal liberation. It's an act of healing that has the potential to break an ancestral cycle, allowing future generations to also live more freely without the weight of postponed dreams from the past. By reclaiming your right to live authentically, create a new legacy, one of courage, truth, and psychological integrity. The path we've just explored together is not just a theoretical concept. It's a living journey that unfolds uniquely for each person. Now is the moment to bring this understanding to your own experience. Pause for a moment and reflect. Which of the signs we discussed touch you most deeply? Perhaps it's that inexplicable guilt when you follow your own dream, or the weight of feeling responsible for her. Perhaps you recognize patterns in your relationships that mirror the wounds your mother. This recognition is not about judgment, it's about illumination. It's the first ray of light penetrating decades of unconscious patterns. Jung discovered that when we share our psychological truth, we break the isolation that keeps patterns intact. Your story, shared in the comments below, may be exactly the confirmation someone needs to begin their own journey of liberation. Remember that this process doesn't happen overnight. It's a spiral of ever deeper understanding. There will be moments of crystal clarity, alternating with periods of confusion or regression to familiar patterns. This is normal. Jung observed that psychological growth rarely follows a straight line. It's a spiral path that revisits familiar territories, but each time with a new perspective. As we conclude this exploration, I want to leave you with a transformative truth that Jung discovered after decades working with this phenomenon. Abandoning the burden of your mother's unlived life is not an act of rejection, it's an act of true love. When you have the courage to break this cycle of unfulfilled expectations and delegated missions, you not only free yourself, you also offer your mother the opportunity to finally face her own journey. You free her from the illusion that she can live vicariously through you. This is a higher form of love, a love based on truth, not on projections or unexpressed needs. Paradoxically, by refusing to carry what is not yours, you honor her sacrifice in a much deeper way than you could by living a life that is not authentically yours. You demonstrate that your love is not conditioned on filling her voids. Jung taught us that individuation, the process of becoming fully yourself, is the most precious gift we can offer to the world. When you live from your authentic essence, free from ancestral burdens, you bring a contribution that no one else could offer. This is just the first stage of a much deeper journey of self-discovery and psychological liberation. If these ideas have awakened something in you, if you feel that inner call to explore more deeply the layers of your psyche, join us in this community. Subscribe to the channel now to continue this exploration of the deeper dimensions of the human being, guided by Jung's revolutionary discoveries and other explorers of the psyche. As Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This journey of liberation is your birthright. It's time to reclaim it.